The Great Awakening? Oh, fuck. I look like the Unabomber right now. The Great Awakening is upon us, and it's crazy to see how many people are actually waking up to conspiracies that I didn't think that the general population would actually get their hands on. Like, say, the Holocaust, for example, and the amount of deaths during that time. 9/11 is an obvious one that has just been, we've had documentaries about it for so long, but it seems like just maybe it's just my algorithm. Maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist, and maybe my algorithm is just based as hell, and I'm just seeing other people's comments, and then most of the masses are just still watching their own shit. But it seems like a lot of people are waking up to the JFK assassination, Vietnam being completely pointless, the OKC bombing and the shadiness involved with that, the Boston bombing, and the school in Connecticut that no one can say the name of, the pizza scandal involving a certain pizza shop and some Democrats, the Democratic Party that we can't mention on YouTube, but here we are. Where I was even going with all this is that the Great Awakening is here. People are waking up and people know what's going on. And I don't think it's just my algorithm. I think I'm picking up what's going on. I think a lot of people are waking up and a lot of people are actually woke. I do think a lot of people are waking up, and I don't think it's just my algorithm. And where do we go from here? I believe that there's going to be an end game where our currency is just goes to absolute zero. The dollar becomes absolutely worthless, and we just go to Bitcoin and basically just Bitcoin and precious metals. I personally don't see any value in Bitcoin, but it holds the same purpose as gold and silver do in an end game scenario. So I understand how it could be there, but I just don't see how in an endgame scenario we can still keep the electric grid going. It's basically going to be like a restart, honestly. And this sounds crazy to everyone who has bought into the narrative and bought into just life's going just exactly how it always has been in the past. But I see wages not increasing and not catching up with inflation. I see the middle class being absolutely dismantled on purpose by the elite. And I see a lot of people waking up to this fact and a lot of people wanting to do something about it. I see a lot of people going into physical precious metals, but it's just not enough. It's not enough to actually cause a giant momentum shift. Gold's at an all-time high right now. I'm recording this at the beginning of February 2025, and gold's at an all-time high right now. All-time high in the history of gold, in the history of U.S. dollars. And it's only going to go up from here because they continue to inflate our currency beyond what it should be every year. We had 100 years of just no inflation at all. We had ups and downs, but if you look at our 100-year track record, we had no inflation at all. And now we expect a 2% inflation, and we never get it. We average probably, we always don't include rent and food and these metrics into our inflation calculations, or at least we haven't been in the past couple of years. If we actually do that, then we're averaging like over 5% inflation every year, and this does not need to happen. This does not need to happen because we are on a fiat currency system, a debt-based currency system where we just have nothing backing what we're working our hours at our jobs for. We're working corporate soul-sucking jobs and not even getting paid fairly, not even getting paid in precious metals, what actually has value, or Bitcoin. If you believe in Bitcoin, I for real see no value in it at all. And if you gave me, this is going to sound retarded, but I just believe what I believe. If you gave me half of the supply of all the Bitcoins in the world, I literally for $1,000 would not buy it. I see no value in Bitcoin at all. Because once the grid goes down, it is just numbers on a screen, and a screen that is completely worthless because the grids went down. And shit's going to go crazy whenever your freezers stop working. I hope you guys realize this. And I hope you guys know how to hunt, because there is an end-game scenario. I don't know if it's going to be in my lifetime or my kid's lifetime or my grandkid's lifetime, but the fiat currency cannot continue. The end game, no matter what, is going to go to a physical precious metal system for sure. It's been around for thousands of years, and it's going to continue to be around for thousands of years. We like the shiny, and there's nothing that's going to stop that. It's not going to stop my kid from liking the shiny, my grandkids from liking the shiny, or thousands of years from now. No matter what happens, we are going to like the shiny, folks. Trump might actually release the JFK files, and then what happens whenever we actually have proof released by the federal government that the CIA killed a sitting president, an active duty president, to continue the agenda of the elite and of the CIA and the alphabet organizations that basically control the world. We have giant think tanks that control the world, basically. These Bilderbergs, these councils of foreign relations, these World Economic Forums, Klaus Schwab figures, these figures control the world. They control the movement of where we go as a society. They have 100-year plans that are being enacted, and we don't understand the powers that certain very small groups have. We're waking up to that fact, and a lot of people are waking up to that fact, and I'm very worried about the mental health of our society as we come to these conclusions. Can we really take our own government telling us that they killed an active president? Can we really take that the CIA and Mossad worked together to orchestrate 9/11 and kill just thousands of Americans on U.S. soil? Can we really take that? What is going to happen? Like, 50% of the country already hates Trump, and then the other 50% that actually likes Trump or doesn't mind him. What's going to happen whenever these good old boys understand that our own government doesn't have our best interest at hand, and we are not setting our kids up for good things. We're setting our future generations up for failure, and we keep delaying these problems. We keep delaying Social Security and Medicare, and we are going to have to increase taxes, and no one talks about it because they want to get elected again. No one talks about the actual important problems because they just want to get elected again, just like Trump. And look at what that did. If you don't talk about the important problems that matter, and you just talk about what you're going to do and how much you're going to win, you're going to do so much winning, we're going to have the best drones, we're going to make the most money, we're winning so hard. No losing, only winning, and then you get elected president. Anybody that talks about the real issues gets 10 views on YouTube. I'm just going to call it now that this is actually going to end up being a crash. The next couple of months are not going to be good, and I think that the physical precious metals will take off. I don't know about the fake paper markets that just continue to be manipulated more and more. And one actual ounce of silver is just being fucking falsified by 200 fake contracts that represent that one actual ounce of silver. And they just continue to make more and more paper ounces to keep the charade going. But actual physical silver, I think, is going to go on a huge run. I think physical gold's going to go on a huge run, even more than it already is, even though it's at an all-time high. And this is because they've continued to push this charade on for far too long. And people are waking up. Whenever people realize that the end game is precious metals, then the stackers who have been just a small minority are for real going to get Bitcoin levels of wealth. I know that seems unrealistic now. I see it just because I'm ahead of the curve, in my opinion. But if you look at the percentage gains of Bitcoin from 2013 to now, it is absolutely ridiculous. From the inception, I don't know if it was inception was before 2013, but just even using 2013 as an example, 2013 to now, just 12 years, it is absolutely ridiculous gains, more than the entire inception of the S&P 500. If you look at the S&P 500 for the entire length of how long it's been around, Bitcoin has demolished that Doge has demolished that, some fake cryptocurrency. It is all worthless numbers on a screen, and this is the start of the crash. This is the start of the big kahuna. I don't know how long it's going to take, but this is the start of the descent. I'm not going to sell my stocks because if the charade continues to go on, I'm going to need these stocks, and I'm going to need to diversify. I can't just go 100% into physical precious metals right now. But I'm not going to buy stocks right now. I'm going to put money into my retirement account, and I'm going to only put money into physical precious metals right now because that's where I see the most value in for my family. Not a financial advisor, folks. You won't hear that on fucking Jim Cramer. But you need to have at least 10% in physical precious metals. If you don't, I don't see what you're doing. You need to have that backup plan in case of emergency, that break glass in case of emergency scenario where you have enough gold and silver in your drawer to feed your family and to buy a cow to produce milk whenever shit goes down and you lose your freezer. You lose the grid. This is not an unrealistic scenario, and people make fun of doomsday preppers because it hasn't happened yet, but whenever it does happen, you'll be ready. Your family will be ready. You need to have a backup plan for whenever that actually does happen. You need to, people, whenever they buy a house, they have a fire plan in case a fire happens. You don't want a fire to happen, but a fire can happen. And you need to have a plan for whenever it does happen. You need to have a plan for whenever the grid goes down. And you need to cook your fucking dinner over a fire or cook it in your grill because you no longer have an oven or a microwave. The dollar is literally completely worthless. They issue debt just more and more. We are tens of trillions of dollars in debt, and people don't realize how much that actually is. It is a charade. It is a fugazi. We have fake markets, just like Bitcoin, where there's no value in it at all. There's value in the companies, but it should be actual currency that is backed by commodities that we are trading these stocks for. These stocks that are representing these companies in the S&P 500 should be being traded with actual real dollars. Our dollars have not been real since we got off the gold standard. And we need to have something closer to that. We need to start making steps towards that, and Donald Trump will not do that. We need to have an actual president that will make steps towards getting us back on a real currency that is backed by commodities. Our currency now is just backed by the U.S. military, and that only helps us for so long until we go into World War III. Do I want the grid to go down? No, but people can see where this is going to end. People are starting to wake up and realize where the end game is taking us. And it is not a pretty place, folks. There is a depopulation narrative going on by these big think tanks. They don't want us to thrive. They don't want the middle class to grow. They don't want wages to increase. They want their inflation to keep happening so their stocks keep going up and they keep gaining more and more power and more control over us. This inflation is only helping the wealthy bankers who are literally printing money out of thin air, making loans that you have to pay back with interest on money that they created out of thin air. And we're paying back a Federal Reserve that is not federal and it doesn't even have any reserves. And they just literally name themselves Federal Reserve, which is the exact opposite of what they are. Just like they named the Department of Defense, they changed the name of the Department of War to the Department of Defense. They just completely inverted on itself from what it actually is. And big government and the elites are the enemies of the people, and they need to be stopped. We need to really think about what we can do as free thinkers against these forces. These forces are here to control us and are here to take every last bit of money that you have, every last bit of energy, physical, mental. They are trying to take all of it. They are trying to enslave you, just like they have already enslaved you. They're trying to enslave you even more because the amount of control they have is not enough for them. They have all the money, but it's just about control at this point. It's about taking everything from you. They keep the population busy and cause chaos through false flags, through wars, and they keep the population focused on stuff that does not actually matter. And what does matter is that we need to fight back against the elite. Together, there are a lot more of us than there are of them.